Hey everyone, welcome to episode 24 of the Hyperbolic Time Chamber Podcast, where we fit 15 days of content within an hour. I'm your host tonight, Jeffrey Louie, along with my wonderful co-hosts, as always, Ron Kauanoe, Thach, and special guest, Shane. Before we begin, though, I do like to give a shout out to Anchor, and without further ado, let's get this started. And also, don't forget to check out the YouTube channel, Hyperbolic Time Chamber Podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Share the podcast there. And a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts would be great as well. We appreciate it. But tonight we do have some awesome anime talk, Japan Sinks, and let's go say hello to the boys. How's your week been? How's everyone been?
Good, solid. I'm chilling. Yeah.
Doing good.
It's a good chilling time. We're getting used to quarantine. We're getting accustomed to the ways. We're getting a little experience with it, so good to hear. Everyone doing well in these stressful times.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Definitely.
So you guys all seen Japan Sinks, right?
Yep.
We're all on the same page. Sweet. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So that's going to be our main topic. Great freaking... First off, let me talk by saying I just binged it today.
Oh yeah, you're the fresh one.
It's fresh in my mind. Just finished it probably at 8:00 tonight, or 8:30. Man, stuff was good. Stuff was real good. I enjoyed it. It was a great anime that I'm glad we all watched for sure.
Cheers to that. Cheers to the homies that passed away.
Cheers.
In Japan Sinks 2020.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Cheers to the homies. But yeah, I agree. It was enjoyable for me. But why don't we talk about the good first, and then we'll get that out of the way, and whatever criticisms we have in it, and we'll get
for sure.
Yeah, go
Sounds
ahead.
Good.
Start off, Ron. Go ahead.
Basically, everybody that is watching, we are going into spoilers. If you haven't watched this, turn away. If you're not planning to watch it, I guess you can tune in. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. But, yep, this is your only spoiler warning. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Come back and watch it. Come back to this after you've watched it.
Yes, come back to this if you hate our disagreements. Yeah, like what we said, didn't like what we said. After you watch it, come back and watch this episode for sure. But, yeah, so... fresh off of episode 10, we'll start with basically my initial thoughts going into it. There's another anime that I got mixed up with. I think it's called Tokyo Magnitude 9.0 or 8.0 or something like that.
8.0, I think.
8.0. It came out a couple years back, so I was like, okay, it's another sort of disaster situation anime that involves Tokyo. Start off, watch the first episode, and I was like, it starts off very light, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. You're learning about this character. It's Ayami, I think her name is.
Main character?
Ayumi.
Yeah.
Ayumi,
I believe, yep.
Ayumi. But basically, starts off nice and, carefree. Then all of a sudden, just like a freaking brick wall, just boom, cut to just, oh my goodness, just freaking wall of emotions. I'm like, all right, I like it. I like how this is going.
Real quick.
Yeah, it goes 0 to 100 within 10 minutes, I think, and the episode is 26. So that last 16 minutes was like, oh, okay. So real cool. But yeah, how about you guys? What do you guys think?
I think it's.
I enjoyed it.
Go ahead, Vic.
Yep. No, I was just saying. I feel a lot how you feel about it, Ron. Especially that first episode really draws you in, like just getting you right into like the real, visceral, real nature of what nature can do to people, And if you're not ready for it, you're gonna be done. So, great way to draw in with the first episode there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of remind me of Attack on Titan's first episode. Kind of a bit of a shocker. Gets real quick.
Right.
So.
Yep. How about you, Shane?
Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It was hard to put down. We were only gonna watch a few episodes. We watched it right before we moved. Where I go, let's just watch this and pack, and we ended up staying up till like 4 a.m. and didn't pack a single thing.
Nice.
Like the entire time we were just like,
Yeah. Now, did you like put down your boxes as you were moving, and you were just like, Hold on. Wait,
Dude,
we'll get back.
seriously, like we seriously made boxes and like, all right, let's start. Oh, let's just watch this real quick, and then we just pushed everything aside and we're just the entire time just
In
No,
awe,
Porn right now.
It
and
was rough.
struck,
I can see it.
Yeah.
I can
so
see
distraught.
Yep. No, it was insane. Like this anime is, it's like it hits different. Like I always talk about animes that make me cry, and like that's sort of like bittersweet kind of stuff. But this one is just like it's heartbreaking. Like it grabs you like this and just pulls you by the heartstrings, and it's just like I'm not letting go. I'm not letting up, and it's just constantly. It's just like it's almost like a snowball effect where it just you think it's gonna get better, and it's just boom, 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 boom. It's insane, and it's definitely I would say an emotional roller coaster for this anime, specifically in like the just I guess a lot of raw emotions that it evokes, and like Vu was saying, the visceral emotions that you feel from it, and that from every scene you're just like, oh, you're kind of on edge. You're just like gripping the edge, and you're just like, yo, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? So, but yeah, it's insane though. It's insane. But the plot of this is basically for the people that are watching, it's another sort of disaster type of situation that occurs in Japan. And basically, the premise of this is a huge earthquake strikes the whole country of Japan. And this is one of those massive, catastrophic events that ends up sinking the country of Japan. That's how big the earthquake is.
Yeah.
And with it, basically, you see the thing I liked about it was you see the real sort of repercussions of what nature can do. And it wasn't like that anime trope where it's like, oh, yeah, happy, or, some by last minute stroke of luck, basically, somebody comes in to save the day or things like that.
Very realistic.
It's a very realistic approach to what potentially could happen if this situation were to ever occur. And that's what I really, really liked. So, but yeah, I guess we'll go clockwise and we'll just start. Jeff, what'd you think? Is that an agreement?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of those things. There's not much more I could say. I think the way it started, it really is one of those shows, as you guys said earlier, that you just, and Shane said too, where it's rare to find a show where you just keep binging it. And I love that feeling where you finish the first episode, the second episode, whatever, and you just can't wait to just watch the second one or the third one, the next episode. And that's what I love about, like, with Netflix, when they release their show, all the episodes are out. So you have nothing, you don't have to wait like week by week or something like that. So yeah, definitely a nice diamond in the rough. I didn't really hear too much about it. I understand that this anime is, let's say, based off a novel. So that's why the story is pretty cool. And also, I think it's really interesting that they introduced a lot of, to me, I think they introduced a lot of characters that are pretty interesting enough, even though you do get a lot of characters that get killed off a little early. But you cared enough because all the feelings were kind of very human. It was very realistic. It did seem a little crazy on some of the ways they died, but other than that, like, it seems like I never would have thought like all the ways you could have died in that type of earthquake, because you got to think about it, poison gas, all this type of stuff that could kill you in a major earthquake like that. Like the whole, it's not just nature. It's not just the earthquakes itself. It's the people, the environment's changed, everything. The scarcity of resources. I think it hits a little bit too hard to home right now because it's a little bit of a pandemic of our own. But I thought it was enjoyable to watch, despite that.
For sure. Yeah. How about you, Shane?
Yeah, so it definitely agree. It just was not what I was expecting at all. I think the main reason, like, me and my wife really gravitated towards it because we saw, like, just read the premise, of course, on Netflix. But I'm a big fan of that animation style. It's definitely one of my favorite animation styles. It's very simplistic but beautiful, if that makes sense. And I gravitate towards a lot of animes that just have that style. I know we're supposed to be talking about the good, But the only issue I had with it is kind of towards the, I would say, middle part, kind of towards where when they got to the compound. It felt like it just kind of like diverged. Like I almost forgot like we were like, you know, they were trying to survive. If that makes sense, it just felt like it was a different anime.
Yeah.
Like it just felt off. Like it was still good. It was just like, oh yeah, aren't they supposed to be like doing this? And then it like kind of got back on track. You know, and some of the deaths, like you said, are very like okay. But yeah, it was.
We could go into spoiler territory as well. I know we're trying to be a little careful, but you could explain which deaths what was the most impactful to you that you're mentioning. Which one felt kind of off? Or
so definitely the most impactful, the one that like really just made me like sit down, like geez, was the runner.
Oh yeah.
You know, talking about.
Was it the girl? Oh no, the runner. No, the runner near the end. Near the end, that was impactful. Yeah.
Friend.
Yeah, near the end. Yeah, that to me was the most like like messed up death.
Yeah, it was.
Trying to think of one where I was just like, okay. Oh, the shark one. The shark one.
There's
like
so many. It's hard to rate. It's
It's
kind of weird to rate which death was more gruesome.
Yeah. It just felt off.
Yeah.
The shark
that
one was bad.
That one was pretty, especially with all the birds and him like.
Yeah.
Well, what about the father though?
Really happened that fast?
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
like,
the boat one.
yeah.
The old man.
The
father.
dad. Damn,
He was just trying to freaking dig for some potatoes, and he.
But that could happen in real life, though.
Yeah, that's why it was so cool. It was realistic because there are a lot of mines from the war still all around Japan, and incidents every year that people trip them. So. That does happen. So that got me caught by surprise. Like. Yeah, we really didn't have much time with them too, and it still felt.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just could relate if you lose your father that way. Yeah, you don't need the development.
Yeah. They take it real hard, real fast though. Each episode is like a different like. Damn, what? Like that?
Yeah, it's a very, especially like how it ends. It's like all of them kind of have like a twist ending per se, and like all of them, like it was like every episode you're okay, who's gonna die this episode? And that's kind of like, oh, this is fun. Like everyone's having fun together, even though the world's ending, and then dead. There we go. There's the
we might as well draw into the negatives because I think not all the deaths were that impactful. I guess because they were coming one after another, but at least they gave like a meaningful death for the most part. Every character had some sort of meaningful death, and you felt something each time. I think because we're kind of desensitized with stuff like that these days, especially if you watch animes like Re:Zero deals with a lot of deaths. Crybaby, right?
Devilman.
Yeah.
Devilman is rough.
Devilman is rough. I've seen a few episodes of that. Attack on Titan. You start getting numb.
Art director as well as Devilman, if I remember right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, potentially for sure. But
the art, I'm not too crazy about. I know Shane likes it, but I could see from your point of view, it's more simple. I think they're going for a more realistic approach, not too uwu. Anime cutesy. They didn't want to sexualize any of the characters or anything, which is good. So I could see why they went with that direction.
Yep. No, I totally agree. It's like that simple. It's basically enough to get the point across for sure. But how about you, Vu? We didn't hear from you yet. So
what's a negative?
Well, a positive. I don't really know what any negatives because this whole anime is kind of negative in itself.
It does it itself.
How shocking some of the death. It does it itself. So. In story-wise, I don't think it's too negative. Pretty positive most of the way, even towards the end. Gave them decent, happy ending. Like pretty, like how what's her name? What is the main character's name?
Ayumi, I believe. Yeah, that's like the only name I remember at this point.
Yeah, but yeah, the way they ended her off with she lost her leg, but then she still at the end of it, she still overcame.
Ayumu.
Yeah, Ayumu. She still overcame losing her leg and still continued on. Didn't let that stop her from continuing her dreams of being a professional, runner.
Yep.
And it's pretty empowering to see her in that way, and using the prosthetic leg, and I thought it was cool.
I think it was a perfect way to pander. I think she's a good female character. She's likable. She's has a lot.
No, I'm wrong throughout the whole way,
No, Japan's been doing that. Japan's been doing that since the Miyazaki films, and I love the way they do it, though. The way they do it, and the way they're trying to empower women characters. I agree with that. I just don't like the way Hollywood kind of does it because I feel like they half-ass it. But other than that, like I think anime does a good job. Like Ayumi, it doesn't feel like any type of like forcing a strong female. It just like felt natural. Like, oh, she still wants
She's
to
a real
follow her
person,
dreams, even though she
Yeah.
had her leg amputated because after the, the whole ordeal.
Yeah.
And she was able to achieve it too. So she was running at the end with the prosthetic leg, and I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Nope, agreed. Yeah, like I don't think it was pandering at all, but like
Yeah.
from the beginning, it was crazy to see Ayumu. You know, as the series went on and as each episode, basically portrayed her, she got stronger and stronger, and that's very different from the first episode where
Mhm.
I actually had
Yeah,
that's
she had a good character development. Yeah.
yeah, she had a really good
Yeah.
character arc. In the beginning, I really didn't like her because of the first episode, and towards the end, it was because
Mm.
I ended up enjoying her because of all the stuff that she went through. But the first episode starts off with Ayumu at the track meet or track practice, and
Mhm.
she's practicing with the team. Then
Yep.
all of them go into the locker room and they're going to get ready to go home, and all of a sudden, the earthquake strikes, and you just see buildings or parts of the building falling and crushing
Mhm.
her teammates, and like you see the first on-screen death of one of her teammates,
Like crushed.
and
Yeah.
she gets
Mhm.
crushed by part of a building, and she reaches out. She's all dazed and confused, and the teammate reaches out and is like, help me, and she just bolts it and she just runs, and I was like, really, if that's your teammate, you've been training with this person, you're just gonna leave them to die. And so that's the initial
I think that's the realistic of it too.
That is,
But
yeah. I
yeah,
see that
I
as a
think-
realistic
yeah.
way, showing like if this were to really happen to you, like it's all about that fight or flight. That's
Mhm.
what that's the thing that
Adrenaline.
people go through. If I
Mhm.
stay here and I try to help her, I could die. So like, what's
Mhm.
your first reaction? So I see it as being, it is a hard way of
It
making
is.
a realistic kind of a thing into an anime, but
Yeah.
I think it makes sense.
yeah,
It does.
it was
I think it was part of her character development too, because
Yeah, exactly.
later on
That's it.
she was more about rescuing people, and then
Yep.
she
Mhm.
was living with that guilt. So it was more of a
Yep.
for story purposes. But I could see most people just being too scared to do anything. So,
Yeah.
Exactly.
but
Yeah,
I
especially
could see
seeing
your
that
point though.
random out
Yeah,
of
she
nowhere.
wasn't as likable at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that.
Yep. And then so
We were
that's why
definitely making fun of her in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, I was just like with that first on-screen death hit, I was like, really? You wouldn't, you at least try to attempt to save her, try to lift up the thing, and she just bolted and just left the rest of the
Mhm.
teammates to die. And I was like, you know what? That left a sour taste in my mouth. But as the story progressed, you see that character development go on, and you see her becoming more of a not heroine, I guess, but basically um, not shying away from death and actually, trying to reach out and save somebody. So I was like, okay, that's
Mhm.
pretty cool. But she was pretty cool from the get-go. Her brother, he was interesting, and definitely the dad and the mom. I think the dad and the mom were probably one of the best characters in this one.
Yeah.
Mhm. Good
Definitely
role
top
models
three
type.
characters, good role models to
Mhm.
have, and it was super cool to see, a Filipina in an anime.
Oh yeah, that's true. I liked how they
Yeah.
deal with the racism, the subtle racisms that they had to deal
Yeah.
with. That felt
That was
very
interesting.
real. It felt very
Yeah.
good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a foreigner in Japan. They ain't
Mhm.
having it.
Yeah,
Yep. Even if you're
You down first.
Chinese or Korean or Vietnamese,
You better have
they'd
that
be like,
100% Japanese blood.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
pure
there was
blood.
that scene where they were letting people only full Japanese, and they didn't even want to let the halfers even come on,
Exactly.
and ironically, they got blown up. So
Yeah,
good
and
for
that's
them.
the
No.
thing. It was interesting, like you said, Jeff. It was interesting to see them deal with that kind of stuff. So later on in the anime, um, basically there's this rescue boat that's going around and saving people, but they have a bunch of loudspeakers on there and a bunch of just tall speakers saying and broadcasting that, hey, we're going to save Japan, but you have to be 100% Japanese, pure-blooded Japanese to come on this ship. And so the main characters, the casting and the crew of them, they end up going to the dock where their little lifeboat or their little paddle boat is picking up the passengers. The captain or whatever you want to call him, he goes, "Hey, are you guys Japanese?" Then he goes, "No, we're half." And then so he tries to deny them, and the mom like stands up for them. It's like, no, their dad is full-blooded Japanese. I'm Filipino, and they're half. So, and then the guy makes like a smart ass remark. It's like, oh yeah, well if you take half of you and half of you, then you put it together to make one Japanese person. I was like, oh, but yeah, it's one of those things where, hey, I don't know if it's still going on in Japan, but that pure-blooded mindset, no matter where you go, whether it be Japan, Europe, America, you know, just because it's Japan, land of the anime, they're not excluded from this sort of um, segregation and sort of racism. So it was cool to see that kind of shown in the anime because you don't really see that kind of side. Like everybody's like fascinated with Japan, like, oh yeah, no, ooh, oh kawaii and all that stuff. But then Japan's like every other country; they deal with the same sort of issues, maybe not to the same extent, but they deal with these sort of issues
Yeah.
and different issues um, here, just like here in the States. So it's pretty crazy to see that sort of shown in the anime, which was not very common.
Yeah.
But
It's very
yeah,
refreshing to see too, because it felt more real. Like you said, everything we've seen anime is very it's either
Ooh.
very extreme, it's very either gory, bloody, or very cute, or something in between. But you don't really see anything that's like grounded. Like,
Yep.
oh, racism exists there. Oh,
It's a good show to recommend to someone that doesn't even like anime, I think.
oh, 100%.
One of those type of anime shows. You're not into anime? Well, watch Cowboy Bebop or watch Japan Sinks or things like that. So
yeah.
And speaking of like topics that most animes don't even bring up, like how you're talking about with what was it? What were you talking about?
racism case?
Oh,
The racism, right?
Yeah.
the
not
subtle,
only, okay.
subtle.
racism,
Subtle details with it.
and also like they even took a little bit into like what could happen if like a woman gets raped, how
Yeah,
when they
yeah.
got
They looked at
picked
all
up,
angles.
by that one guy that was driving around and they had to stop by the gas station, and the dude, pretty much asking for repayment for driving, and he, since they don't have anything way to repay for them, and what was her name, Nanami, the girl that
Think
Nanami.
so.
yeah,
And Ayumi's mom helped her, and yeah, it was pretty
Nanami.
good. Pretty
Nanami.
powerful scene.
So the guy threatened, to pretty much attack her, but then the cool thing is that it showed like some pretty cool female empowerment parts in that part because she totally just kicked his ass. Like
Yes.
she totally turned the tables around and kicked the dude's ass, and I thought that was super badass too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the
I
way
don't
that
mind
she
those
died,
type
like,
of
right after so suddenly too. Was like, whoa.
I think those are cool. Those are cool scenes for like good female representation for holding their own, and definitely that is a problem they have to deal with, and especially if during a apocalypse, pretty much at that point. So that was very real as well. So
We're losing Jeff.
I think we're losing him, right?
Losing you to the robots.
Robots? Oh no!
Yeah.
It'll
We're
reconnect
watching
in a bit.
that Transformers.
Yeah.
Also on Netflix, sponsor us.
Yeah. But yeah.
No, you guys can keep going because I can hear you guys still.
For sure.
Technical
But
difficulties.
no, definitely Vu. That's like that one. We're going, back to I think episode 2 or 3. But Nanami, she's one of the original crew. And basically she's like an older sister type of character, to Ayumu. I feel like I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but basically, yeah, they get picked up by this random stranger, and he agrees to take them. And so they stop. They're trying to get gas, and she goes around. She's like, "Oh, I have to use the bathroom." Blah blah blah. This is Nanami, and dude just makes like some. He goes, "Oh, you got a nice ass," basically, and he's like, "I want repayment for giving you a ride." And then he's like, "If you don't do this, I'm gonna stun you." He pulls out a stun gun. She totally kicks his ass, which is
Yeah.
that was so fluid. That was so fluid. Like, dude, her kicks, I was like, "Damn!"
It was
Okay.
so
Like
unexpected
Spiegel
too.
kicks.
Yeah, no,
The lady that's out there,
is exactly what it was.
ladies out there, take some martial arts, for sure. Activity difficulties. It looks like I lost them, but yeah, definitely. I thought that was a powerful scene with Ayumi. She definitely held her own Even though she got a little bit of help from Ayumi's mom, but definitely it was a great scene for sure. And am I reconnected here? Anyways, yeah, definitely something. I think it was a very good scene. Other than that, Japan Sinks is something that I hope everyone will watch, but it's definitely something
It's
that's
best to
going
get
be.
through everything, you know. Like when we were
There
watching
you go. I'm
the
back.
other anime with the other kid who was always whining and complaining, like seeing him, it's refreshing, and that he was able to go through everything, both of his parents dying, his sister losing her leg, and him still staying positive through everything. So
Yep.
I thought he was really strong for being how young he was.
Yes. No, I
I'm
totally
back, guys. I'm back.
gotcha.
I can hear you guys. So what were you guys talking about now?
So we're gonna go counterclockwise. Start with Jeff. Basically, we're talking about the favorite character of the entire series. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, we'll go to Shane next. I think.
Oh, favorite
Yep.
character.
Ooh,
Okay,
cool.
for sure. Let's go.
That's a good one.
So you want me to go
I
first
would.
or Shane?
No,
Shane, go
I
ahead.
we're going
Counterclockwise. Okay, yeah, Shane, go ahead.
It would probably be Oh yeah, it would probably be what's his name? The runner, the guy who was super quiet in the beginning, but it definitely opened up.
Haruo.
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 Yeah.
Oh, my
Haruo.
Kind
Haruo.
of introverted guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Introvert. Yeah. Definitely. I think he was my favorite because I thought he was going to end up. Honestly, I was like, oh, he's going to betray them. He's going to steal from them. Like I thought he was going to be like the quote unquote bad guy. And as the series kept going, I was like, oh no, he's actually really cool. And then he went out like a champ, saved them, but
yeah,
it's a meaningful death at least.
Yeah, it's gonna stick with me for a while because I was like, dude, that's one of the most depressing anime deaths I've seen in a long time. Like the way the wave just hit him, I was like, no, he's gonna swim back. He's fine. He's gonna come back.
Nature 1, human 0.
yeah. Oh, man.
It was terrible, dude. Yeah, it's screw it.
It was insane.
Oh my gosh.
So Go, like we mentioned, Go is the younger brother of the main character Ayumu, and basically, I don't know how old he is. He's probably like 8 or 9. And like Vu said, basically, he's the ideal child character for me. Basically, doesn't complain like Vu said. You know, he's going through all this stuff the same as any other adult, and basically, he doesn't complain at all, which is super cool. And then going to Shane with Haruo. Haruo, we are introduced to him in I think episode 2, I believe. We don't really know because as an introvert, we find out that Ayumu basically knows him from childhood, looks up to him, calls him senpai, all this kind of stuff. And he's sort of like a mentor.
She's a runner herself, so she looks up to him.
And then we find out that basically he was a previous track runner, and he was kind of an all-star, but basically he just one day decides that running's not for him, and he just becomes a shut-in kind of thing. And so we'll go to Jeff for your favorite character. What do you think? Yep, who's your favorite character?
I like Ayumi's mom, the Filipina mother. She's my favorite character. I think she was definitely uncharacteristic for a female to hold her emotions like that and to pretty much protect everybody from her health conditions that she had. You don't find out, well, spoiler alert, of course, you don't find out that she has, complications with her, I believe it was her heart, right? And she had surgery, and she had a, what do they call that? She had a kit. It was sort of like a defibrillator that kept her alive, pretty much. The whole way.
The heart thing.
Yeah.
What do you call that?
I forgot what they call that.
Defibrillator.
It's not a defibrillator, but something like
it's a pacemaker.
Pacemaker. So
that's what it was, and it ran out of battery, right?
It ran out of battery near at the end, and then that scene where she chose, because she was a professional swimmer, so she chose to use the last of her life to. They were stuck on a boat. She swam down there, tried to untie the boat from the rope in the ocean, and then that was pretty much the last of it. And she did a wonderful job there. And it was a pretty good twist. I mean, we knew she had some sort of health condition, but we didn't know to that severity. So it even tricks the viewers a bit. as well. And then her daughter found a lot more respect for her, even though they had a lot of complications, because when her father passed away, her mother was trying to stay strong, even though she was upset that her husband passed away, but she was trying to stay strong for the family, and she wasn't trying to show any weakness. So I thought that was really cool in her character, and right up until the end to protect her family and friends. So she's definitely my favorite character. What was her name again?
Mari.
Mari, yeah.
Yeah, no,
sure.
I totally agree. Like Mari, she's also one of the top 3 characters, I think, in this series. With it basically, her, like you just said, Jeff, all this stuff happening to her. You find out, her husband dies, all this death. Find out she has an undisclosed sort of medical condition that you find out later. And even in the last bit of her time, she gives her life to save her kids. And I think it was Haruo at the time. But is super, super noble, very heroic, very awesome. And like you said, it's not not common in anime, because a lot of female protagonists, they're basically portrayed as like ooh girls, like cutesy, and like, oh, save me, blah blah blah. But this was like an ideal role model for sure, I think, in my opinion, because she had all the basic characteristics of a heroine. She kept going. She was strong. She didn't. I don't want to say that's weakness, but she didn't show a lot of emotion when basically she just lost her husband. And it comes to, I think it was like episode 5 or something, where you see that sort of dispute between Ayumu and Mari, because the mom is basically not sobbing over the loss of her husband, and the kids are struggling to cope with his death. And Ayumu, the daughter, calls out her mom. She's like, "So you want me just to forget about dad? Fine." And she goes, "Do you even care? Did you even love dad or something like that?" She's like, "Of course I did. But, what's crying going to do about it? Is that going to, bring him back?" And it's kind of like, okay, she's right. She's like she's trying to hold it together, for her family's sake. And she's not showing any sort of weakness, I guess. Not weakness, but you know what I'm saying. She
Trying to
doesn't
be
really
strong, not
trying
let
to be
people worry about her, because that's the last thing she wants.
exactly.
So they got to worry about their own thing right now.
Yep.
So
So it's pretty cool. But yeah, no, definitely Mari is definitely top 3. But for me, I think it was Kite for me. Kite was like, oh man, Kite was MVP for
Oh
sure.
yeah, Kite.
who is Kite again?
He's the honorable mention.
Kite guy.
Yeah.
YouTuber,
The streamer dude.
streamer guy.
Oh yeah, Kite was MVP. He was the
Kite-
YouTuber dude.
Yeah, Kite was very cool. So Kite was super cool because we're introduced to him in like episode 3 or something. And
Yeah.
basically we meet him at an unfortunate event, because after basically Nanami, they hop back in a car, and then I think they drive to this mountain pass, and then they're like, "Oh, hey, we have to stop. We got to use the bathroom." And one of the saddest things, Nanami ends
Oh
up,
my god,
"Oh, hey,
that
I'm
was
gonna go
sad.
pee over here." And she ends
that-
up falling down and
God.
dying because of poison gas. And I was like, "Oh, that is so sad." I was kind of heartbroken. I was like, "Man," I thought there
It's
was
just
like,
like a good scene with her too.
Yeah.
yeah, we're coming off a good scene with her, Spike's the motherfucker. And basically, she's sort of that older sister role, and she's trying to like take care of Go and Ayumu, and you just see her just basically, all right, I'm gonna go pee, and then she ends up dying, and it's so heartbreaking. And then we see Kite come in. He's flying on sort of, I forget what they're called, but they're like I think they're not paragliders, but
Parasailing? No, not parasailing.
He's pretty
I
much
forget
on his own like
Yeah, I don't even know what you would
balloon.
call it.
Balloon
he
with
has a big old fan on the back of his
Yeah.
back, like a backpack, and then he's holding a parachute, and that's propelling him. I forget what it's called, but
Is there really? I'm sure there's really real life YouTubers that actually use that, and they get like some footage. I guess. I'm guessing
Yeah,
it
I
has to
would
be based off
definitely,
somebody, right?
yeah.
Right.
But basically he flies in and he goes, "Hey, no, leave her because she's dead. She died instantaneously." I was like,
The
"Oh,
gas.
jeez." Yeah, with the gas
She
poisoning.
got
And I was
kind of the man. She got the worst death. It wasn't meaningful. It was just
Oh.
she got one
No,
of those
out of
like Last of
nowhere.
Us 2 Manny deaths, Last of Us 2 Jesse deaths. Like, damn,
Another random.
she got done wrong. Yeah, after she kicked some ass too. Prior
Yeah.
that she
I
almost got
thought she
raped.
like tripped
Yeah.
and fell. I was like, oh, she just
They gave her the
exhausted?
short end of the stick. Like, damn, she
Nah.
just about to get raped and she kicks some ass, and then you kill her in the gas. Like, damn, that sucks.
But
It just shows the reality of the show, you know.
Yeah,
Nobody's
yeah.
safe, you know.
They use her as
Anybody
a
can die the next day. You know?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
within the next few hours, pretty much. Can't even go to the bathroom in peace. That was terrible, man.
that's how not safe this world is.
mhm.
But I like you guys said, I do appreciate the realism because you never know. Like, not to bring up like a Limp Bizkit song, but you never know when you're gonna go. Like for real.
Oh my god.
How's that wrong?
Basically,
I feel like it's too soon. Rest in peace.
it is too soon, but it's the reality. It's like you never know when your time's up. Like you
Mhm.
could, get hit by a car. You could get blown by an unexploded mine. You could
Eaten by a
literally
shark.
eaten by a shark.
Eaten
You
by
could
a
literally
shark.
By a shark.
you can literally go pee
Hit
and
by
then
a wave.
by poison gas, basically. So, but with
Mhm.
Kite was super cool because at first you see him coming in and you're like, all right, he's kind of like a Logan Paul, kind of like a
Logan
douche
Paul wish he was Kite,
kind of. So
Right?
but he had a little bit of that
we're
little
getting those.
edge.
Yeah, we're getting like those pretentious. Oh, I got those like pretentious vibes at
Oh
first.
yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, But as it went on, he always came through. He always came through when time needed it.
He could
And
back it
so-
up. Mhm.
And he was backing all this stuff. I was like, okay, cool, And my favorite part, at the very end, I think it was like episode 9, I believe, or episode 8, something like that. Basically, he rescues all of them, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. Kite saves the day, blah blah blah. And then he goes, hey, look at this, and he ends up finding a balloon, a hot air balloon.
That was his actually too. Ironically.
He find a balloon in the ocean. You're like, whoa, okay, cool. What the heck? What is that? And he goes, oh, let's try to blow this up. And so they blow up the balloon, and then he goes, oh wow, it only can hold one. Then they're like, wait, what? Then he hops on it and he goes, hey, see ya. And I was like, yo, is this?
Ditched him.
Yeah, I thought he just
All to
dipped.
try to get some Wi-Fi connection, y'all. All to get some Wi-Fi connection. Like,
Saved
hey,
their life, man.
GPS signal, I got it. And then he's
Yeah.
like freezing to death.
Yeah,
It was
but
pretty, it was pretty
It's
crazy.
pretty epic.
get ahead. Let me explain. You got to tease it. But basically, he hops on, and I thought, it was definitely contender for top 10 anime betrayal. I was like, yo, you went all this way, and literally,
He
you're gonna leave
tricked
the kids and the scientist guy, and he's like, oh yeah, take care of him. And then he was just like, all right, yeet, I'm out. And come to find out, in the scientist guy that kind of basically predicted all this stuff, in his pocket he pulls out his cell phone, and you're just like, wait, what's this? I've never seen this before. And then it has like a little radar going around, sort of trying to get signal. Basically, comes to find out, Kite was using the weather balloon to basically act as an antenna to strengthen the cellular signal, so that way the boats and anybody nearby could find him.
Mhm.
And this dude is literally almost, I want to say, almost like a commoner at some
Right.
point, where basically he's only on sort of like maybe like a pedestal, and basically he's holding on for life. The wind is taking this plane or this balloon, wherever, and he's flying around. He's probably up, 10,000, not 10,000 feet, but he's probably up pretty high, like maybe like 4,000 altitude or whatever. And his fingers are getting frostbite. He's getting frozen, things like that. And you see him, not giving up. He's like, no, I'm determined to get the signal. And all of a sudden, you see his fingers fall out, or his fingers like freezing up his fist, and he's trying to scramble to get some sort of covering to block the wind chill from basically freezing him. But at one point, the rope that he had in the other hand, he has 2 ropes. He loses the rope just because he can't grip it anymore. He grabs it by his teeth and is like, I'm never gonna lose. And I was like,
Yeah.
let's oh, let's go. But
He's a never
he
give up type of guy for sure.
it's a never give up type of character, and that's why I was like, this guy is awesome. And so
Yeah.
he ends up getting the Wi-Fi signal for them, and they end up being rescued. And we find out, hey, what happened to Kite? All we see is him just grabbing the rope with his teeth. He's like, I'm never gonna give up. And then it just cuts to the scene of the kids
You
being
just Rickroll us. Never gonna
Yeah.
give you up.
So
that I feel like that's his song. That's Kite's theme song right there. Rickroll. Oh
Yeah.
man, he's never gonna let you down.
Yep, exactly. But he never really he didn't let anybody down, and that was the crazy part because no matter what the odds were, he'd always fight. He's like, no, this is not how I'm going out. No, this isn't supposed to happen like this. Blah blah blah, things like that. But he's super cool character, and I love that character progression. And you're just like, okay, you can warm up to him, kind of thing. But he was pretty cool, and then comes to find out that he actually survived, and he ended up.
You see him in the crowd.
You see him in the
That was
crowd.
my question. Yeah.
Yeah, you see him in the crowd watching Ayumu at the Olympic event, I guess, where she's representing Japan, and she has her prosthesis on. Super, super cool. So, but yeah, that he was definitely a cool character. Oh, and then speaking of the never give up, there's even a I think episode 7 or something like that. The scientist guy, he's basically trying to get all these data files and these predictions basically transfer from his secret base onto this little micro USB or micro SD card.
Yeah.
And this dude literally is carrying the scientist guy, which he can't talk or anything, and basically he can only tap his finger and stuff, so he's kind of a mute. But comes to find out, he's not really emotionless, so he can't talk, so you don't know if he's breathing or not. But they bring him up, and they bring the scientists up, and they find out that the oxygen tank that they were using, there was no air, there was a hole in it, and he was almost drowning. So basically, the scientist guy, he's dead, and Kite's like, no, this isn't supposed to happen. I never lose, and he's just performing CPR, and it's just like, and the people are like. The rest of the cast are like, oh, no, he's gone, give up. Then he does that,
He saved some of the air for him. I think that's why.
Yeah. It's a
I
signature.
think that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to help him too. He was trying to help him swim across. He was trying his best. So
So he does that.
I mean, he already felt like he was a burden anyway because the dude was a vegetable.
Yeah.
So, but he did warn everybody about the earthquakes, and he told everyone about Japan's plan. That was the coolest thing because he was one of the scientists that knew that this was going to happen, and then they already had a plan. So Japan was going to be resurfaced because of the program that they had in like the next 100 years or whatever. It could be whenever when it triggers.
Yeah, but basically he has that last ditch effort when they get back to the surface, not breathing. He goes, hey, this is not supposed to happen. He just slams his fist on the doctor guy. And that's like one of those I guess one of those anime moments where all is lost, but all of a sudden you have that one like superhero moment where your back's against the wall, and all of a sudden you're out of options. Slams his fist on his chest, spits up water, revives him, and you're like, whoa, okay, cool, this guy. But yeah, the scientist was very important because he had all those models, like I mentioned earlier, all the models basically telling everybody and warning everybody, like, hey, Japan's going to sink. You should listen to me. This is all the data that I have. I'm backing it up.
They talked to him in Morse code too, so it was pretty crazy because he couldn't speak anymore, pretty much.
So
I agree. Kite's a pretty good character.
Did they say how he became crippled? Because I feel like I missed that.
I think was he part of a boat accident or something?
Oh, I'm not too sure.
I believe he was like on like a something like that. I don't think they really explained it too much, but maybe the first earthquake he got hurt pretty bad. I'm assuming because remember the first one they felt, and then it was just like but he was actually in the thick of it, I would think. And then the rest, Ayumi and everyone only felt like the after effect, the tremors.
Right.
So I think that's what. He was one of the thick of it. So I think that's what it was. They weren't very clear about it, but I think that's what they want you to believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So on what you were saying about Kite, I like him as a character, but I do have some criticisms in the way
Yeah.
maybe the directors made him, because I
Mhm.
feel like they used him too much as like a crutch to try to save the day constantly.
He's
'cause
a
he did it
magician
more than one
character.
time. Yeah,
These
exactly.
magician
And
characters
it
are
was-
like the Mr. Miyagi's in Karate Kid. They're always that
Yeah.
character you could go to for answers. So yeah, he's like
Right.
Mhm.
and I just feel like they always just whenever they're in a tough situation, they always use him as this crutch. And too many times, I feel like first he already saved them from being lost out at sea. His
Mhm.
mom finds him, then he finds him, and then he saves them by finding that
Yeah.
like the data, downloading
Mhm.
all that stuff or whatever. And then the last ditch effort, and when he was getting frozen, getting the GPS.
He's like invincible.
Yeah. Yeah, like he just did. I don't know. I feel like it was just too unconvincible, and like
It took
even though
me
he
out
shouted
of
out
it.
himself like
Mhm.
I'm the luckiest guy or whatever, he was just saying
Yeah.
I'm lucky, I'm lucky, and I'm like
He's too
that's just the
OP.
director. Yeah, that's just the director telling you, yeah, I made this guy OP on purpose to save the day all the time,
Mhm.
kind of feeling. So I
Mhm.
was like, all right,
Because
Kite's
like,
cool, but
like
whatever.
let's put PewDiePie, okay, one of the biggest YouTubers. Let's put him in that situation. He think he knows how to do all that cool stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but
I
yeah,
don't know.
I agree with that. Boo. Yeah,
That's my main criticism with Kite.
yeah.
No, I agree.
Mhm.
But yeah,
100%.
he was definitely entertaining character. But I think he had it shows. I don't know if it's real or not, but he manifested his destiny. He made stuff happen,
Yeah.
and it was one of those things where it was one of the funny parts when he was downloading the data. Um, basically, he goes, "What would Tom Cruise do?"
Oh my
And
god.
reminds me of like a person that is um, fake it till you make it kind of thing. And so, even though he didn't know what he might, what the ideal situation, he was just like, "Yo, I got to get out of here." And so he's looking around analyzing stuff, and he's just, and he's like, "All right, we got an air tank, blah blah blah." Of course, the writing kind of favored him, of course, but I think that's part of the charm that Kite has as a character is, you know, he basically was improvising on the fly of what to do, and that was a cool part that I liked about him. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. But overall, cast wise, would you guys say that it was pretty enjoyable? Did you guys really have any characters that you didn't like?
All the characters were well done. Both
Mhm.
I watched half of it dubbed and half of it subbed, and the voice actor I think sounded really good both ways. I think you can watch it either way and enjoy it.
Yeah,
And I think they did a good job with the voice actors.
Nope.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm the same. I watched part of it in Japanese, and then part of it in English, and they were both believable. Watched most of it in English by the end of it because it was good enough to read, and I wanted to pay attention to the animation of it. But
Yeah.
for sure, I can't really find a character I didn't really like too much. If I had to choose, perhaps it would have been.
I didn't like the rapist.
Yeah, I think we all don't like that guy. But
Yeah.
yeah, you guys go on. I'll think of one. But yeah, most of the characters were pretty good. Actually, I didn't like the foreigner guy. I thought he was a little weird. Like he,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. The dude
Yes,
on the
I did
road,
not
like
like
the dude from like
He was
England or
super
something.
annoying.
He was annoying, and like he was like kind
Yeah.
of like a source of encouragement and lightheartedness. But it felt like he should have had like a bigger role. And like,
Yeah.
and I thought we would
It felt like
see him
They
at some point. They
Yeah.
didn't explain anything. I felt like that's some sort of plot hole. They didn't even say what happened to him. I guess he died. I mean, how was he supposed to survive that? You know? But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely him and the I guess heiress of that compound.
Yeah.
Like their whole story again. That's to me where the story started getting like, okay, where are we going with this? Like I thought it was gonna start going supernatural when it's like, oh, she can talk to the dead, and I'm like, this feels like a completely different anime.
Yep.
And even when they kind of flushed out their story, it's kind of like you understand where she's coming from, and then they just moved on. So even her story wasn't really impactful because by that point we know majority of the people in the compound are pretty much going to die.
Mhm.
And she's like, well, we gave our son a purpose. The end. And I'm like, oh, all right.
That whole
Yeah.
arc with the old man trying to, he
It's
thought that was his
weird.
grandson was weird. That was kind of
Yeah.
like that's probably like the biggest, weirdest, didn't seem too necessary type of situation in the
Mhm.
whole show. But yeah.
It was a B plot that wasn't really necessary.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it was like a
didn't
side plot
really
for
have
sure.
any impact on anything.
Mm-hmm.
No,
For sure.
I agree. Yeah, that
What about you,
part
Ron?
where we got to the compound, like you guys were saying, where they explained the mother, I felt that was the only part of the story that I felt rushed, and where the grandpa was like, not hallucinating, but he was going through withdrawals from morphine, and he was confused.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is my grandson or this is my grandchild, blah blah blah. But towards the end, you find out why he thought this kind of stuff. You know, um, they're going through Japan's video archive of old Japan, and you see Grandpa or Gramps and his wife talking about when they're opening the store, and then you see the little granddaughter come in the frame, and it's like, oh hey, this is blah blah blah, and then um, one of the little side characters in there was a little robot dog that would say, "Hey, Grandpa, stop smoking," or "Hey, blah blah blah," and it was kind of like the positive reinforcement for the grandpa.
A little wholesome.
It had a childlike voice. I think it was the granddaughter's voice. So that was I think it was too rushed in that part. If they would have expanded it, probably another couple episodes, I wouldn't have minded. But the 10 episodes, it felt like a crunch, and that was like a side plot that was definitely unnecessary. I think you could have filled it up with more character development, things like that.
Maybe in the book it's a lot better. Like
Mhm.
the anime
Yeah.
has just like not enough time, and you
Yeah.
kind of fast forward that arc. That arc is probably a lot better than we thought.
Yep. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for that. Um, did you guys have any final thoughts on the anime or anything
My
else you wanted
final
to?
thoughts is I hope Japan does not sink because I
Yeah,
want to visit
no.
Japan. I know Vu
Definitely.
has.
Yeah, it's a great country, beautiful country. I would, dude, if something like that were to happen, I don't know, it'd be insane. Like just the realism of knowing all those millions of people dying on this island.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
let's look at the aftermath of the show where Japan was literally, since Japan was literally decimated. I love
Yeah.
the how they portrayed like at the Olympics and stuff like that, Japan and the small survivors that survived there, and then
Mhm.
all the, let's say, the effort that they're putting into rebuilding it, and then also the scientists' plan where they already had it pretty much a backup. They had a real life backup where like they have whatever they did, like they said Japan's gonna rise up again, kind of
Mhm.
like the rising sun. They tried to do
Right.
kind of like nice correlation, like their flag. But other than that, I thought it was kind of a poetic, ending. I thought it was hopeful, bittersweet, but definitely they put a lot of work into that.
Yeah, they did. And it really made me think too, just, not even just Japan, just, United States, because, I don't know if you guys pay attention to it, but even this year I know there's a lot of stuff going on, COVID,
Yeah,
aside, but we're having a
That's why it
lot
hits
of
home.
we're having a lot of earthquakes in places we've never had them before, and they're a lot frequent. So even after the show, I was like, man, what would happen to the US? Like, is the US itself prepared for something that extreme? Like, I feel like Japan is, because it always happens in Japan.
Right.
I mean, we're in California. Scientists
like
already
right on
believe
the
we're
wall.
gonna get the big one, and that's gonna pretty much
Exactly.
take us away from the mainland of the states. Maybe we're gonna be hanging out with Alaska at this point.
California's gonna be an island, bro. We're gonna have our own
Yeah.
island. It's gonna be
Yeah.
insane.
Yep.
It kind of already is. When you look at the laws,
Yeah.
we're almost like our own country
Yeah.
compared to them. Yeah, but that's interesting that Shane brought that up. Continue
No.
on if you had input about
I
it.
think
Yeah.
I think Shane, I think The Rock will save us if you guys watch San Andreas.
The Rock.
Yeah, my uncle, The Rock, he'll come and save us. He'll pull California back together.
This is going to the Jumanji game, and forget all about this.
Bring it back together.
Wasn't it in like an Armageddon movie or something?
That
I
is
don't
San
know.
Andreas. It was San Andreas.
That's
Movies.
right. That's what it was. Yeah, San
Was
Andreas.
he?
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah.
The earthquake movie.
Right, yeah.
Oh yeah, he was in a few. He was in Rampage too, right? Like the
Yeah.
video game adaptation
yeah,
movie.
video game.
Rampage.
Rampage was actually good.
I never
was
saw
actually
it,
haven't
but
seen
yeah,
that.
that's cool.
It was really good.
It was really good. Cool.
Yeah, it's definitely worth solid 7. Solid
Awesome.
7
For a video game movie,
Oh,
right?
video game movie.
Solid
That's
7.
good.
Movie.
Speaking of
Yeah,
video
I'll
game
check that
movies,
one
they've
out.
been pretty good lately, at least. I hope the same can be said for anime adaptations, though. Not so much.
Yeah.
We'll see, though. We'll see.
What's
Um,
the next one Bebop, I think.
Bebop.
Oh
Well,
yeah, Cowboy
you
Bebop.
brought it up earlier, Shane. Talk about video game movies on Netflix. Finally, which I'm gonna go binge after this,
Mm.
is Transformers
Oh.
for Cybertron anime, which is based on Transformers War for Cybertron, the game by High Moon. So that is one that I definitely recommend checking out because, like Jeff said, video game movies are getting better, and that game in itself, I think 2011, I believe. The War for Cybertron trailer is still one of my favorite trailers from that year. It was great. And it deals with basically, how you've had the Transformers come to Earth, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't deal with interacting with it. It's basically Transformers, the Autobots, and the Decepticons. It goes into sort of the origin story of the split between two groups, and they're basically fighting over their own planet, which is Cybertron, and it explores that in depth, which is super cool. And it takes place over, I think, 3 games. It goes War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, and then
The
I think it's
movie tie-in one or something.
Rise of the Dark Spark or
Rise of the Dark Spark, I think it is. Yeah.
the Moon, one of the two. I always forget. But definitely, it's another one I'm gonna check out right after this. But wrapping up the Japan Sinks, like just to reiterate what you guys said, with it, Jeff said it was a poetic ending. I think that's a perfect explanation of it because you see sort of the realistic approach to how a society can rebuild from them, and they're tying in, the theme of Japan will rise again in with the land of the rising sun, which is, big part of Japanese culture. It's always that never give up kind of attitude, and
like kite, like you were saying. Yeah.
and he's the embodiment, and that embodiment of the Japanese spirit, I think, always, never giving up and never retreating, never surrendering, and always coming back again, sort of thing, and rebuilding, which was super cool. But the ending was very, very, I think it was done very, very well. It was I think it's one of my favorite endings from any of this newer anime that I've seen. Because it ties up everything so perfectly, and it wraps up the entire series in a way where, yeah, it could leave room for a sequel, but it does such a good job that it doesn't warrant it.
Doesn't need it. Yeah, it was satisfying enough.
But I wouldn't mind if they did one. But as it is as of now, definitely
And Rising.
don't really need it at all. So yeah, but it's cool though.
Makes me want to read the book. There's a lot of animes out there that are not just based off the manga; they're based off actual like novels. So that's why there's not as many anime tropes at all in this adaptation. And to further alliterate what you're saying, Ron, I think Kite. I guess it's kind of symbolic too because his name is Kite, so he's kind of flying in the air. So I think it's kind of funny that he was flying on that balloon and his name is a kite. So I thought that was kind of comical, and they kind of write that like on purpose. Like he's kind of
that's how they first met him,
He's just flying. So that's why his name is Kite. Was that his real name or is that his YouTube name? I don't know. I guess his parents named him Kite because
they call him in the show.
Yeah, maybe that was his YouTube username or something like that. Because remember in the beginning, he was the one that pretty much showed, like, remember where the first earthquake was? His YouTube video was viral, and he happened to be recording it. So it was kind of
Okinawa sinking.
Yeah, but for sure. Close out with the Japan Sings. Hopefully everyone watches that. Yeah. My question is, though, something that's not Japan Sings. What do you think about like the state of anime now? Like because of COVID, our own pandemic and apocalypse, so to speak, that we've been facing in real life. Do you feel like it's been affecting a lot of, the anime? Have you guys been watching any? Well, obviously it's been affecting anime, but like, how do you feel about it? Are you kind of disappointed, or you are excited to see, you're proud of what anime that has come out? Are you, let's say, like what little anime that did come out, like which one are you looking forward to or hoping to watch?
Yeah, go ahead, Vu.
Yeah, go Vu.
I honestly, the last anime I've watched I really look forward to the next season or next movie is Demon Slayer, and I think they've already finished it. I believe so. I don't think there's too much worry for that movie, but the next season, that's where I'm worried about if
Yeah.
they're gonna be able to finish it after this movie. So I think for me, that's because I love that anime. That was probably one of my favorite last year, and so I'm looking forward to that. So I hope the next season follows through after the movie, but who knows?
Yeah. I hope so. I think it's still on schedule to come out around September, the movie. We got to get tickets together, guys. Let's go.
I'm down.
Bring your wives, bring your friends, bring your spouse.
Let's
The theaters are open.
If the theater's open.
I think the movie did just get pushed back a couple days ago.
Oh,
Sorry.
really?
Oh,
Damn.
damn.
21.
That's a rip. Well, that's 2020 for you. I mean, we're pretty used to that.
Yeah, at this point.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I mean, if they did like a direct to Funimation or Crunchyroll or something like that,
I could see them doing that, yeah.
that'd be cool. Or even like direct to Blu-ray DVD. You know,
I
that'd be
think
cool.
it's- Crunchyroll's been showing some premieres on theirs, right? I think they've just been going straight to Crunchyroll, some of them. I think the Goblin Slayer movie premiered just recently on there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was
I gotta
supposed
check.
to be originally a movie, and that's an anime I want to watch. I hear some good things about too, but we'll see. I mean, Demon Slayer is Shade's like, nah. I heard a little controversy. It's not that great,
alright.
but yeah, like Demon Souls is. I'm sorry, not Demon Souls. Was it Demon Slayer?
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer. My
I
bad.
know so many names that sounded like.
Yeah, that's true. But Demon Slayer is a much more popular anime than Goblin Slayer, so I could see why they want to push it more for for the theaters.
Mhm.
I miss the
well-
theaters, dude. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, but
But,
no. Going back on topic, how about you, Shane? What do you think of this?
What do you
So
think?
I haven't really been watching too much. We just got our internet back on today, so yay.
Nice.
So I'm gonna be playing catch up. But I know I was definitely watching Promised Neverland. I was excited for season 2. That's greenlit.
Oh, really?
I think
Sweet.
it's already out now. I want to say it's already out. So I'm rewatching season 1. What else was I watching? ReZero, of course. Season 2's lit. Fire Force.
yeah.
I'm 100% caught up on Fire Force.
Same.
Tower of God, God of High School. I think it is.
Dang,
cool.
send me a list, Shane. Send me a list. I need to catch up on these.
What else? I've been watching a lot of just kind of backlog. Bebop, of course, Shampoo. But in terms of like newer stuff, all the stuff that I am currently watching, season 2s are like either coming out now or they're already out. I can't think of anything that might be delayed, but the one thing I am excited for, and this is for everything, video games, comics, anime. So everyone was shut in, right? You got to think about this. Everybody's shut in. What came out of these creative processes with people who were just stuck in the house by themselves? That's what I'm excited to see. What, amazing games, comics, even music, what is going to be coming out into this year, next year from geniuses who are essentially just locked in their house with nothing to do?
That's a good question.
It's going to be a very interesting year, I feel, next year. Like, yeah, this year kind of sucks, but there's a, like Japan says, the sun always rises, right?
Oh man, I like that, dude. That's poetic, man.
Yeah.
Kite rises
Yeah.
too, that flies in the sky.
Kite
That's true. Like, we're gonna see a lot of like writing that might reflect on what's going on now. I could definitely see like Hollywood movies or animes kind of almost poking jokes at being stuck in the house. Corona kind of references. I mean, it's a product of the time, right? We look at 80s movies and we look at them, and a lot of the movies are very sexist, a little racist. You'll never see that type of movie in like 2020. You'll get canceled. But that's what I love about old movies sometimes, because, it was a different time at that period. There wasn't many social justice type of, there were issues there, but it wasn't really portrayed in media like it is now. Representation is like so good now, where female representation, Asian representation. There's a lot of like, political agendas going on, but in a way it's really good to, represent that minority group, Yeah. So, and I think in those 80s movies, they were really kind of savage. Like they were not very sensitive. So
we
I
were,
could
actually just watching Rush Hour, because we have we had no cable or
That's
anything.
the
So we
most
watched
racist
Rush Hour. Rush Hour is one of my favorite movies of all time, but holy cow, could that movie never be released today? Like, ever.
Which one? The first one?
Movie
The Rush-
is,
The first one.
all of them, dude. Even 2
All
is
of
kind
them,
of cool.
They're a little.
But yeah, number 1 is like, yo, how did they get away with saying that? And this is a movie that came out 90, like 96.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that sounds about right.
it's definitely a product of its time.
Yep.
Mhm.
Hey, but
Yep.
it
agree.
gave
Also,
Asians
it's crazy.
and African Americans a good bond. Like representation
It
matters so much that like Asians that didn't have black friends were probably more open to having black friends. So
Yeah,
representation's that powerful.
yeah.
But yeah, nope. Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, Fresh Hour is definitely released in 2020.
Ooh.
I don't think it wouldn't be as
Ooh.
funny for sure. People
Well,
would
you know what?
definitely.
I take that back. They did. I didn't watch it, but it was on Fox. They had a Rush Hour TV show.
Hmm.
I don't think it lasted.
No, I think it got half of one season, then it got canceled. But I'm assuming
Wow.
it didn't have the same, jokes and tones that
Yeah,
the first one did.
Probably
Because
toned down a lot.
man,
Probably,
yeah, because
sure.
Rush Hour 1 is. I don't think I can watch again. I'll be completely honest.
I gotta
Knowing
watch
what I
it
know
now that you say it.
Yeah, there are some
it's
scenes that are rough, real rough.
yeah.
Like it doesn't age too well.
Both
No, it's
so
both for Asian and blacks. It's racist on both sides. Like it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
it's still an amazing movie. It's funny. I still laughed, but like sitting back, I was like, "Yo, I feel bad for laughing at this."
Yeah.
Well,
Hey,
that's why
you go
comedy,
and
I
learn.
think, is like comedy has really took a downturn because you can't be. I mean, you're gonna offend everybody at this point because everyone's kind of like snowflakey. But comedy was just kind of getting together, bonding. Obviously, a lot of comedy is a lot of stereotype jokes, but if it's funny, it's funny. But it's not meant to be taken seriously. That's how I look at it. I think the creativity that these comedians have to go through, they have to tread through water now on what they're saying. That's why I respect Dave Chappelle a lot because when he brought out that Sticks and Stones or whatever it was called Netflix comedy special, he was pulling no punches,
Yeah.
but it was funny. It was all in good fun. Like don't have to look at it as like the gospel or anything. Take it too seriously. That's just my opinion. But aren't they making like a Rush Hour 4 or there's talks of it?
Yes.
Heard about
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was last year. Him and Jackie posted together, and they did like a teaser image. They're going like this,
yeah,
basically saying that 4 is coming, but because of COVID,
Mm.
we were supposed to get something this year. It sounds like the script itself and like some of the filming was supposed to start end of this year. So Rush Hour 4 probably 2023 at this point.
Yeah.
Oh
Sure.
God damn it!
Yeah. Heck yeah.
That's
Give me
they're so
Mulan.
old already.
Come
They're
on.
oh yeah,
Watch
Milan.
it.
That
wanna
that was
watch
supposed to
it.
come out
Yeah.
like months ago, dude. It was supposed to come out in like
Yeah.
March, and now
I
we're
was hyped
here
for that
in
movie too.
August. I
I'll
think
send
they
you guys a list later, but
I
they
think
put
it's,
out a list,
listed
an official list of every movie that got pushed back this
really.
year.
Oh God. Yeah, DMS.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Dude, I was hoping for Mulan. They pushed it back. I think it was titled for end of August, but it's most likely going to be pushed back again.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted 3 was supposed to come out this summer, but they pushed it back to
Yeah.
September. Yeah, dude, like
New Halloween movies. Matrix got pushed back. John Wick. All the Marvel movies, obviously. A Quiet Place 2, which hurts me so bad. That is my favorite horror movie,
Yep.
dude.
and they delayed it.
Yeah.
I
It's officially
fell
next year.
asleep on Quiet Place 1 because I was just tired. It was too quiet. But I heard it's a good movie. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I
But
think,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Ron. What were you going to say?
No, but no, like Shane was saying, for sure, just hopefully we'll find, after this quarantine is over, we'll have those people that, have always wanted to do something, always wanted to write a script, always wanted to make a track,
Mhm.
always wanted to, produce a video game. Hopefully we will. I'm excited to see like the way that you're talking about.
100%.
I'm excited to see some of these projects that people have been working on in quarantine. I really am. Like the way that you put it, it's very, very cool because we could have the next big hit director. Oh, how'd you get
Mhm.
started? Well, I was locked up in the house during Corona 19 and or COVID-19, and basically, I had my thoughts and pen and paper, and I got to writing. So it'll be
Nice.
cool to see. So,
I
but
think
yeah,
a lot of beautiful things come out of hardship.
Exactly.
A heartbreak. You got those love songs, anything, any type of struggle. I could
Yep.
see a lot of good creativity coming out of it because at that point, when you're just stuck in the house, what else can you do besides what makes you feel good, like creating, something or
Exactly.
writing. I know a lot of people do writing as like kind of like therapeutic to them. I mean,
Yep.
they write their own book that they'll probably never publish, but maybe they'll have the courage to find a publisher and publish that book. It's a very
Yep.
personal type of
Yeah,
story.
you could write the next Japan Sinks 2020 or 2050, whatever it is. So whoever's listening to this, if you guys are aspiring, creators, if you got time, go ahead and start writing. You could be, we could be talking about your project on the podcast here, coming up in 20 years or whatever, or some next group of HTC Podcast 2 sequel. They could be talking.
Speaking of
But yeah.
podcasts, though, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad we started this one, and we didn't start it because of the pandemic. Let's keep that clear. We started it well before it even started, the whole quarantine thing. But I'm glad that we did start it now that we have some sort of platform to vent and socialize. Social distancing has pretty much made people pretty depressed, I would say. I mean, there's you got a lot less opportunities to actually physically talk to people at this point.
Yeah.
But
So,
go on, Ron.
a lot of stuff just kind of lined up, and that's the cool part.
Mhm.
And like you were saying, Jeff, sometimes out of hardship, there's always sort of that light at the end of the tunnel. There's always beauty that comes out of destruction, I guess. So, a lot of it ties with the theme of Tokyo Sinks 2020, which is super cool.
Really, yeah.
But, it's a nice thing. So, but yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for me. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on it?
What about you?
Good.
Vic?
Yep.
I'm good.
Good.
Okay.
I thought we described pretty good about how we felt about the show. So
Yeah. Sounds
The
good.
show.
Go watch
man.
it, give it a try. It's depressing, but it's definitely uplifting at the end. Like I
Yes.
said, especially ties to everything today. 100% ties to everything today.
It is a little hits home for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely worth the watch. Do you guys want to
Yep.
close it out with that, or do you have any more comments about something?
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You
That's
good?
what it. Go Tsushima, game of the year.
Game in the air?
Oh, wow.
Okay. I
we
need to
need
play
you to
that
come back
game.
and talk about that game.
We will.
Yeah,
It's
I'm probably gonna have to pick it up and play it.
Yeah, since the pandemic's been hard. There hasn't been any physical copies, so we're probably gonna give that one an extra week or two before we start talking about it. Just
Yeah,
because
I want to get a
But-
physical copy if I buy it full price.
some of us haven't got a physical copy like Jeff, so
Mhm.
we want to give everybody adequate time to talk about it. But
Yep,
you can
for
check
sure.
that out on a future podcast episode for sure.
For sure,
but
we'll
yeah,
talk about it.
At that, we will close it off for this episode. As always, thanks for watching.
Mhm.
If you haven't, we have created a YouTube channel. It's Hyperbolic Time Chamber on YouTube. We'll upload all of the previous VODs up there, so it'll probably be like previous weeks, just in case you missed the live stream. And like Jeff said at the top of the hour, if you do like us and this content, support us for as little as 99 cents on Anchor. It's pretty cool. You don't have to, don't feel obliged.
Mhm.
But if you like it, yeah, it definitely helps out the podcast. We can use the money to fix Jeff's internet.
I think I need a new wireless router. Apologize for the technical difficulties.
But yeah, and if you guys do enjoy it, sharing the podcast always helps us out. It's a lot, like a little share, even if you share it with like 2 friends, that
Mhm.
helps us out tremendously. Helps us, get to people that may have not listened, that potentially are new listeners. And then leaving those comments too, it helps us become visible on Apple Podcasts. But we do appreciate if you've already left one or plan on leaving one. So, but yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for me.
For sure. Yeah, and
Yeah.
for me, you could find me at, let's shout out our podcasts or our socials here. You could find me at 350Z Time on Twitch. Been streaming there quite a bit. Yakuza 0, Yakuza 1, things like that. And also on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yep.
Go on, Vu? You can start.
You can find me on Twitch, Instagram, Roll_F. Yeah, that's it. Shane?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch, batfan_916. Probably won't stream Ghost of Tsushima since I'm almost done, but definitely have a catalog I want to go through,
Nice.
mainly Switch. So
Sounds good. Definitely.
Totally. And as for me, you can find me at Ron Kauanoe. I have it in this top right corner here. But yeah, it'd be on all the socials. I'm mostly active on Instagram and Twitter. So yeah. But other than that, we will see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
out.
Peace.
Remember, if the ground shakes, get cover.
Yes, especially if you live in California.